What's happening, YouTubers? It's your boy CB, and we are back for my favorite segment on the channel, a huddle watch along with a recruit. For today's episode, for you guys that like the trenches, for you guys that like bully football, offensive linemen and defensive linemen getting it done in the trenches, this is your episode. Four-star offensive lineman in the 2025 class from IMG Academy, Kaden Strayhorn is a absolute beast. If you have not seen his huddle or his highlights, you are in for a treat. Offer list as long as you could ask for from Power Five schools, SEC schools, all the big three in Florida. But you don't want to hear me tell it. You want to hear him tell it. One of the strongest, most powerful, athletic, and agile offensive linemen you will find in the 2025 class. Four-star offensive lineman Kaden Strayhorn. How we doing, bro?
How you doing? How you doing? I'm doing good.
I'm doing all right. You know, watching some football today. My Cowboys are out of it, and we're sad about that here in Texas. But we're on to bigger and better things, and that's recruiting.
Yes,
And when
sir.
we talk about recruiting, I want to get into that first before we get into your previous season and some exciting things coming. How has recruiting been for you since the season closed?
I mean, it's been going really well. I've been hearing from all the top schools in the nation. Including like schools like Michigan, Miami, Texas, Georgia, and the list goes on. So I'm just really blessed to be able to be in the position that I'm in.
Is it hard during the season finding that balance where it's like, what visits to take, what coaches to answer versus, practicing and being at IMG having a goal to win a state championship? Is it hard kind of finding that balance?
I would say, being here, we practice in the morning and we go to school in the afternoon. So, I mean, after practice, I might answer a couple text messages, and then, you got to get ready for school. Then we go to lunch, and then school starts at like 1:40 p.m. to 5:20 p.m. So, it's later in the afternoon. So I usually take phone calls from like 6 to 9 p.m. That's when I'll schedule them with coaches and everything. So, I mean, I think being at IMG, obviously it helps to be structured in a sense. And run just like a college program. So I mean, the phone calls and everything is like very structured, built into my schedule. So it's going good.
That's actually a really cool schedule too, because it allows you to take care of business and then take care of business later in the
Yeah,
day and
like it.
focus on school, focus on practice, knowing that, all right, I've talked to who I need to talk to for the day. Now I can focus on, getting this test done, getting this quiz done. Or, it's all pads and practice today. I don't have to worry about, did I email? I did all that first thing in the morning. Now, one of those schools I gotta ask you about, you're about to head to Miami for a visit on junior day, but it's not your first time visiting Miami. What's that relationship like with Coach Cristobal?
I would say that the relationship is really good. Obviously, I have about five teammates up there from IMG Academy that I had the pleasure of playing with. Francis Magoa, Antonio Tripp, Jaden Wayne, Riley Williams. Jaleel Skinner was the year before me, but that was my boy. And obviously, he's in the portal right now. But I know a lot of those guys up there. So like the relationship with Cristobal has been really well. It's been really smooth. My entire family has been able to get up there for a game when I was a sophomore. So they all
That's
met.
awesome.
Yeah, and we were able to, talk with him and his wife actually. So my mom got to talk with his wife, and we got to meet everybody in his family. And same with Mirabal, we got to speak with his wife and his kids. So it's been really, really good. And I really like how they're very family oriented over there and Christian
Yep.
based, and that's the same way we are in our family. So it's been going really, really well.
Do you remember that very first interaction you had with Coach Cristobal?
Yeah, so the first interaction, I was sophomore. Obviously, we went to a game, and we it was like the recruiting tent. I went with Francis and Antonio and Riley and all those guys that were committed. And he met me. He was like, "Oh, this guy's big," and I'm a center. So yeah, he's like, "Oh, this is a big guy we
Yeah, the
got."
same. He said the
Yeah,
same thing I said.
yeah,
And he
yeah.
big.
And then he was like, we'll take care of you." And then, 5 minutes later, we were talking to Mirball. And what happened was, I was just talking with him regularly. And then when the conversation was over, he pat my dad on the back and was like, he's offered. So it was a good interaction. That's how it was. Yeah.
On the spot.
Yeah. It was within 10 minutes of meeting them.
Have How was that feeling? Obviously, when you talking to coach, we talk about Coach Mirabal, Coach Cristobal. We're talking about guys that have a passion for the offensive line. That's just different. So knowing that off that interaction, the energy and just that conversation from you and seeing you, him going, all right, sold. What was that feeling like inside being there and that happening in real time?
It felt really good, especially because so to explain this to you, Coach Mirabal had just recently came to a practice. So um, for him to be able to like see me play in real life and then offer me right after that, it just felt pretty good, you know. And obviously I was young at the time, so just moments like that, and especially because my entire family was able to fly to Florida to be able to come and make that trip.
That's
So
awesome.
to be able to have that experience with my mom and dad, it was really really special. Yeah.
And what's that relationship like with Mirabal? Because anytime I have offensive linemen on, whether it's Plaz or Juan Manayo or Nino Francavilla, they do the same thing you just did when I say Mirabal. Their face lights up and they're like, yo, what's
Yeah.
that relationship like with Coach Mirabal?
It's really good. I mean, and to tell you this, so we train every summer in Arizona with LaCharles Bentley. He has two of the offensive linemen that he coached at Oregon. So before I even met him, like I heard all these things, all these great things. Like, oh, I talk to him every week, and this dude's like 3 years in the league, and he still talks to him every day. I'm like, oh, okay, so this guy, I really want to meet this guy. And then when he came to practice, he's not the biggest guy in the
He's
room.
not
So
the
it was,
biggest
yeah.
guy.
And so when I met him, he was talking to Francis before Francis committed. And when I met him, I was like, oh wow, like okay. And then I seen that he knew what he was doing. It's just like really cool to see him work. Like it really is. And so when I seen that, and then I was able to go to junior day last year as a sophomore, and I got to see him work with Francis. It was Francis's first practice ever, and Antonio
Oof.
Tripp, and to see him like grind them out and like go get after it. He wasn't treating Francis any type of way just because he was a 5 star. He was on his
Nope.
ass. Like, yeah, it was so just to be able to see that. And in interviews, he talks about how we don't sugarcoat anything here. Francis earned the right to be a starter, so like I really appreciate the way that he coaches, and his knowledge of the game is really really deep. So anytime I get an opportunity to talk to him and get a tip or any advice from him, I'm grateful for it. So yeah,
And he is known for once he gets his hooks on somebody, he cannot help but help. Like you see him, he starts to like Plaz said, he was like, I met him, and then the following week, he's like sending me tape and giving me ideas. He was like, I'm not even committed yet. Like, I'm
yeah,
not even close to committing. And he's just like, hey, I saw this, this, and this, work on this. It's like teaching for him, and I learned it's because he is a former teacher. And I think that's why just imparting knowledge for him is just, I think that's his why. I think that's why he loves coaching so much. He just loves being able to impart that knowledge. There's a name you mentioned a couple of times, Francis Mauigoa, who is probably, if not the best freshman offensive lineman in the country last year. Proved it. It's not just about stars, it's about what you do on the field. 5-star work ethic, 5-star, young man. How was it watching his process, watching how he handled, his recruiting, being one of the top offensive linemen in the class, getting to sit there and watch that, be the guy under the tree learning from him? How was that? And what are some of the things you learned from being the little bro to Maui Noah?
I mean, the first thing I would say is the humbleness. Francis is probably the most humble guy I've ever met. If you meet him randomly, you're not going to think, oh, this guy's a 5 star. He's the number one tackle in, college football. Like, you're not going to think that. He just doesn't go about his business that way. He always keeps God first. And that's one thing that I really learned, throughout all the outside noise, you cannot let that, get to you and make you feel like you're that man. Like you can never let that happen. You always have to stay hungry. So learning stuff like that. And then the main phrase that he taught me and all the guys around us on the team was to start with God and end with God. And
Love
like
it.
we used to do Bible study every Sunday in his room. So stuff like that, just like he ingrained, all these great, I would say like all this great knowledge into us, especially like the younger offensive linemen that were coming through here. So, and me, including me, obviously. So, to be able to like learn that from him and then see him in real time, like do everything that he's doing is really cool. And if I ended up going to Miami, he'd be a junior going into the draft that next year. So to be able to learn from him, that year would be a really really big blessing. So we'll see how as far as that goes.
And now times are changing at IMG. Now you're big bro,
Yeah.
literally. So your brother is transferring in. He's going to be playing next year at IMG, but it's not just him, it's everyone in that 27 and 28 class. Now you are that that leader in the locker room. How has it been, that transition? Cuz you remember when you were going to Francis's locker, going to Francis's room, sitting under the tree. Now they coming to you. They like, what's
Yeah.
Kaden doing? All right, so Kaden do this, this, and this. That's what I'm gonna do. Kaden take care of his recruiting stuff in the morning. I'm gonna do that. How has it been having that transition now, being the big bro in the locker room, literally too, because your brother's coming in playing next year?
I mean, honestly, it's just like really cool to see because like how you said, like coming to my room, coming to my locker and everything, we have new guys and when they come to my room and ask for advice, I just think it really just makes me remember how I used to be the same exact way with the other guys.
Yep.
And just like the fact that I know that I was able to retain the knowledge so that I can help younger people, it's just like all of that all in whole, like it's just I'm happy that I'm able to do it. Um and especially like this year after learning from Francis, I've been trying to become a more vocal leader. And my goal is to be a captain this year for this team, and to lead this team vocally, not just like through my actions, everything, but to be more vocal. So, throughout this spring, I've been doing a really good job of that, and that's my goal. So, hopefully that can happen. And then I would say, just like knowing how I used to ask all those questions, and these younger guys are asking me the same
The
questions.
same.
And just for me to be able to help them and make their life just a little bit easier, that's just I'm always able to do that, and I'm happy to do that at any time.
And then you saw Francis battling Jaden Wayne in
Yeah,
practice every day. Then you got to sit there and battle David Stone. You got
yeah,
Jaden Jackson.
yeah.
What are some of those back? Because we get to see y'all go off on Friday. We get to see y'all unleash on somebody else.
hmm
We don't get to see the battles at practice. What are some of those battles like at practice going against guys like that? And how has that helped your evolution as an offensive lineman?
I mean, going against guys like David Stone and Jaden Jackson is the reason that you come to this school. The saying that we say here is we go here because the practice is harder than the game. So when it's time for the game, it's
Let's
just easy
go.
and you can showboat. So, the grind is from Monday to Thursday. Going against guys like Jaden and David Stone, which are truly like, very, very good players,
Them
talented
boys
players.
like that. They like
Probably
that like that.
the best defensive lineman. I mean, I think Jaden Jackson is the best as well. I think Stone is one and Jaden is two. I think that's what it really should be. Obviously the rankings don't say that Jaden Jackson is, but he is, and I think he'll prove that to the world in college. And so just to be able to go against those guys every single day, it's a grind and it gets hard and it gets tough, and just learning to be able to be steady in the boat, which is what we preach here. Stay steady in
Love
that
it.
boat. Yep. And then, when you go to college, because it's going to be the same way, everybody's going to be, oh man, I'm new. I'm a freshman. All these senior defensive linemen gunning at me. But, I'm used to it. I've had this experience since freshman year. So that's why I came here. So when I go to college, I'd be ready to make instant impact.
You feel like that helps your mindset at camps too? Not just obviously it's gonna help you when you go to college because you're used to competing. So for you, it's like I'm just gonna fall in line. If I gotta compete against him, I had to do that Monday through Thursday with somebody 5-star defensive tackle. But do you feel like that gives you an edge when you go to camps too? When you're like, I'll take the first rep. I'll jump because I'm used to. If I don't get it, somebody else at IMG gunning for that spot every single
hmm
day. You feel like that helps your mindset with recruiting and going to camps and competing?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I haven't done many camps, but the camps that I've done, I'm always gonna be the guy that's gonna like want to go first. Especially knowing like a coach is not. They're looking for that. They're looking for the guy that's confident in himself to be able to go out there and prove that he's listening and he can be taught quick. I think my main thing that it makes me so super special is my coachability. I'm very coachable. And I would say I'm a sponge. Like anything that a coach tells me, I'm gonna retain it, no matter what the moment was that we were in. I'm gonna retain it. You know, and
It's a great
certain
skill
things
set to
that
have.
yeah, and things at IMG, like how our offense is not high school. We run D1 offense, so the playbook. I'm gonna be ready when it goes time to be in college. And that's why I'm here. I know how to read a safety when I'm at center. I don't think there's many people in high school that can do that unless they're learning from somebody out of the high school, online and like classes. But I mean, just to be able to be here and learn stuff like that is gonna just it just puts you in such a higher like understanding of the game. So when you get to college, you're literally ready to go. I mean,
Yep.
Francis, it took one practice and he was the starting right tackle because he was ready. So that's why I'm here.
They prepare y'all. For those of y'all that are going, I've seen some of IMG's offense. What do you mean? First thing I'm gonna tell y'all before I hit play on this is somebody told Caden at one point during his life, "Don't stop blocking until you hear a whistle," and he took that so serious, y'all. When I say he finishes blocks, so what I love about y'all's offense too is you get to see you do a little bit of everything. And when I see the tenacity, that tenacity is like a defensive lineman. Has that always been a part of your game?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Where does that
I
come from?
I would say it just, my heart, when I play, I'm looking to put you on the ground every single play. That's just how I am since I was little. I played linebacker when I was in little league, so I used to just, go and hit guys.
That
And
makes
yeah,
sense.
so
That
it's
makes
just, and I
sense.
and I, I wrestled for 11 years as well, so it just helps me become a knockdown artist. I was state champ 3 times, throughout elementary school, and then obviously when I came here, I had to stop, but I wrestled since I was 5. Um, and if I stayed at my old high school, I would have been, the starting heavyweight wrestler as a freshman. So I mean, and we were top 5 in the nation, Detroit Catholic Central for wrestling. So I think that's really what helps me have that edge as an offensive lineman. And then just like it's just like as you see on this play, like I'm not letting this guy go till he falls. Like it's just how I play, and I'm looking to take your head off every play.
The wrestling makes so much sense now. That your leverage, your ability to drive for a big guy, the ability to still get under some of these smaller pass rushers makes so much sense now. How much has that helped your game? Obviously, when you're on the offensive line, when you're raw, you don't have the footwork yet. But when we see you in pass pro, now you do have the footwork, you do have the quickness, the agility. But at first, how much did you rely on some of those strengths in wrestling and other sports to help you transition?
I would say a lot because like freshman year, at my old high school, obviously I wasn't taught how to kick step the right way, or to run block. So I mean, most of my knockdowns you could tell, like if I tell you I wrestle, it will make sense, I would say. So yeah, like it just does like the hip tossing and all that stuff. But now, being an IMG, I just gotten, way bigger, stronger. I'm able to run through guys without, hip like twerking and all that type of stuff. Like I can just run through you. And like when the St. Francis clips come on, like you can see like plays where I pull and I knock the linebacker's helmet off. Stuff like that is just like, I'm like I said, I'm coming to take your helmet off like every play. You know,
So
I
for
just
you,
yeah.
what's more enjoyable? Is it more enjoyable when they do let you pull, when they do let you get out in space a bit, or do you like it when you're going up against a pass rusher that you know is known for getting to the quarterback and you can shut him down?
I
What's
would
more
say
fun for you?
I mean, I would say it's like pulling to a linebacker is the best, or a kick out block, and then pass pro. I would say like I like to be able to like show like flash hands, and stuff like that to like edge rushers, that like to try to beat you with speed. And I'm able to get back there, pretty quickly and stop that rush. And especially if they bull rush, that's just not gonna happen. They can't bull rush, so they have to make a move. If they go speed, I'm gonna be there. If they go bull rush, I'm sitting on it every time.
So he knew he couldn't bull rush. So he thought, I'm smaller, I'm gonna use my bend, right? All right. Caden said, "You may be smaller, you make him bend. Not only am I getting down there with you, bro." So the smaller guys too. So the bigger guys on a bull rush have no prayer because if you're gonna come at you, you're thinking, "Oh, this is what I do." You have no idea what low center of gravity means.
Hmm.
But then you get a smaller guy here who, in his mind, he's thinking, "All right, big dude, 6'3", let me bend, get down there with him, put him on the ground."
Yes, sir.
It's that versatility. How much do you love doing a little bit of everything? Because you got that versatility where you can play tackle. We've seen you pull. We see the agility. You can move inside, can play center. How much is that versatility stressed at IMG?
It's just a lot. The main thing that we say here, according to that, is availability is the best ability. If you can't play all 5 positions, you're doing yourself a disservice. In the NFL, if they tell you center's open, are you gonna tell the coach I can't play center? Because if you do that, you're off the team. So you need to be ready to play everything at all times. Especially, as an offensive lineman, it's the most important thing is availability is the best ability. So if you can play all 5, you're going to be able to play on any team at any given moment, be ready.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite where you like, hey, when they line me up here though? Like, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, well, I would say center for sure.
That's a very interesting favorite to have because you're a second quarterback on the field. It's your job to help with blitz pickup, to help something he's not seeing. How much of the cerebral part of the game, the film study, it goes into being not just a good center who can clear a running lane, who can move, but who can understand the game as well, to where your quarterback knows if I make a wrong call, I know Caden got me.
I would say it's basically like when you come here, you're gonna learn how to read a linebacker's alignment. You're gonna learn how to read a safety. I'm gonna understand how to know if a safety is capped, so I can see if he's blitzing. It's just the way that they teach us here is gonna make your mind so much like you're gonna be out there talking as if you're in college already. So, like when I came here, obviously I didn't know football as well as I did now, obviously. But after being here for 2 years, working with Coach Grimes and learning everything, it's just the reason I like center is because you can command the offense. Everything runs off you. My dad played center for Michigan State under Nick Saban, and then he played for the Dolphins. So just having mentors like that, and then like Dylan Rayola's dad is a mentor that my dad known since he was in high school. So it's just like centers like that I've been able to learn from, and that's why I just a lot of people when they watch me, coaches especially, they'll say I'm a prototype center. I think my body is really good for it. The Pouncey, Mike Pouncey, he gives me tips as well, and obviously that's one of the best centers to ever play the game. So it's just like
That's not a bad mentor to have. So you spoke
yeah.
a couple mentors you have there. Speak to how important that is. Obviously, being a highly touted recruit, it's not just you; it's the village. It's when you can say, "Hey, man, I was having issues when they shaded this dude here." You know, you have those resources you can rely on. Guys like Francis, guys like Tripp, guys like Pouncey. How important is that for a young player's development to be able to just bounce an idea off somebody who's been in your shoes?
I would say it's super important, especially just to be able to learn from somebody that's been there. That's the main thing. I would say, especially being an IMG, you know how I'm Francis's teammate, and then I can see it in real time, him starting and everything. I feel like as a human being, if you can see something like happen in front of you and actually see it in real time, and actually be able to understand, like I can do that. Like as soon as you can tell yourself that you can do
Yes.
something, that's when you can really go there and take it to the point where you can really do it. I think that's the main thing. And then I would say, just to have a mentor where I can send him a clip from practice and then he just hit me right back. Like Brian Allen, the starting center for the Rams, when he won the Super Bowl, he won the Super Bowl champ. I trained for him for a week. I just brought a bunch of film. We broke it down. We worked out with the Charles Bentley Remington Trophy winner from Ohio State, his training in Arizona. And I was just able to break everything down, understand leverage and the way that I can move, understand that at center, everybody's stance is different because everybody's body is different. You don't have to look like everybody else. It's just center is the most like dynamic position where you can just be so creative and just your craft is going to be so unique to the point where if I get a piece from all these greats, then you have nothing but great right there. So if I can get a piece from everybody, I just want, okay, give me the fact right here, fact from this guy. Okay, put it together, and then it's just gonna be new,
And
and
you
everybody,
build yourself into that
yeah.
monster. Of some of the current offensive linemen playing, who are some of the guys you really enjoy watching and you go, "Okay, let me take a little bit from him too."
Jason Kelsey, I would say. I would say Brian Allen. I would say, especially having to play right tackle this year, Penei Sewell. I actually met his dad at junior day at
Ooh,
Miami last year. So
that's a
it
bad
was,
boy.
yeah, he is. I would say Tristan Wirfs. That's actually one of my friends. I'm close with him. And then I mean the Pounces are not playing anymore, but I'm able to like talk to them and like see they'll send me like clips through Instagram and everything, and like just to
Still
be able
got
to
the
see that.
film.
Yeah, they still have the film, so to be able to see that, guys like that, I would say.
That is a who's who to learn from, and so many different types. When you're naming a guy like Penei Sewell, who's known for yeah, he's powerful, but he's also one of the most athletic offensive linemen you'll find. And then you learn from crafty guys, guys that rely on just power. I like that you don't limit yourself. It's let me see what makes you good. Nah, that don't work for me, but a small aspect of that does. All right, so you put your back foot. Okay, let me learn that. I like that you don't limit yourself. That you try to learn from as many guys as you can, and to be a sponge. Because ultimately, what you're doing is you're Frankensteining a new monster. That I tell recruits all the time when people ask me like, "Oh, who do you comp him to?" I'm like, it's hard to comp guys because you're the first you. There is no other Kaden Strayhorn because you've taken and learned from so many different got Francis was able to teach you something that he didn't learn till late in his development. So you got to put that early in your development. So whatever that technique was, by the time you're a junior, you're better at it than he was when he was a junior because he just learned it. So we can't even say, oh, his first punch is like Francis. No, it's not, because he got to learn Francis's first punch and develop it longer than Francis did. But I love that you don't limit yourself, even though you do have coaches that you work out with and you do have guys in your corner. It's still, all right, I heard what you said too, but let me see what Mike say about the film as well, because he may look at it different. A center may look at it different. A tackle may look at it different. And I love that you still have that versatility when it comes to learning the game too. You still want to learn the game from all these different angles. Where does that work ethic come from, bro? Outside of just football, where does that work ethic come from?
I would say my work ethic comes from like my granddad and the way he instilled it in my dad. So then my dad instilled it in me. And something that you probably should know is like my dad won the Ironman twice, which is strongest man on the
Who
team. He won it twice. I think that's where it comes from, and then it's just my inner
dog?
drive. It's just my inner drive. I would say, I want to be the best. I want everybody to know I'm the best. That's why I play the way I play. That's why I go after people the way I go after them, finish the way I finish. By the time it's all said and done, I want people to say that I was one of the best centers to ever play this game. And I want my brother to be better than me. We want to be, the next
Love it.
Pouncy brother. So that's how we want it to be. And just to we want to show everybody that the reason we did all the work that we did since we were 5 years old. Why we did it.
I love that. I love that tenacity when it comes to the work. It's not just when we talk and when I ask you things, it's not a highlight. You talk about the work. It's first for you as always the work. I love that. That's that work ethic that you're gonna pass down, not just to your brother, but to every offensive lineman, to the guys transferring in, who's gonna be like you, looking around like, man, I know I'm good, but how do I fit in? Well, this is the work that got to be done. It's very simple. I was taught this is the work. I did the work. You see where I'm going. You got to do the same work. Ain't no plays off. You gonna have your own David Stone to battle. I got
Hmm.
mine. I had to battle. Ain't no hiding. Ain't no let me count who's next so I don't get that rep. The work ethic that you have is why IMG is gonna have more successful offensive linemen. So I love that you've taken on that responsibility too. That you recognize that it's my little brother. It's all my little brothers in the locker room that's gonna be where I'm at. So I'm gonna make sure they're prepared, bro. I know I speak for Miami fans when I say we can't wait to see what next season looks like. I know you got the visit coming up. I can't wait to see how that goes. Obviously, being in the presence of Mirabal, I know he gonna have even more tips for you. Let them know where they can follow you on Instagram and Twitter because he will be visiting the campus soon. So you're gonna want to follow him so you can see how that went. Obviously, gonna take photos and all that. So for Canes fans that want to keep up with you, where can they follow you on Instagram and Twitter?
My Instagram and Twitter handle is Kaden underscore Strayhorn. So Kaden underscore Strayhorn.
I'm gonna link both of those down in the description so you can follow him. And I'm gonna link his huddle. The way he does his huddle is dope. It's broken down by game. So if you're like, I don't know some of these teams, St. Frank, like most of those teams. So if you're like, let me watch the teams I know, he's got it broken down for you by game. So you don't have to sit there and go, I don't know this one, I don't know this one. And while he's playing next year, if you want to keep up with him, they upload them by game so you can keep up with his highlights. If you are watching this and you're going, well, you didn't list all his offers. Your team has offered him. I promise you they have. I promise you, if you're watching this and you're going, man, but I'm a Michigan fan, he got that one. So
Yeah.
trust me, this is a recruit you're going to want to keep your eyes on. IMG is going to have another explosive season next year. That offensive line is just going to be even better with more experience. So we can't wait to see what you do when you have your next season huddle and you dominate again. We're gonna have you back on so we can watch that and we can talk about all those pancakes as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Like, share, and subscribe. Go follow bro right now. Click off the video. Go follow him. You are not gonna want to miss this next season. We out.